Ra Cloud, who is still in active service with Joint Navy Space Fleet and served as a time soldier under Montauk's Project Phoenix 2. He will be discussing intergalactic colonization, time travel, the lineage and title of Ra and more.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Disclosure Now, where two Ras are going to unite, talk about Montauk, and talk about many other things. Ra Cloud, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with him. He's been on Super Soldier Talk. He's been on Typical Skeptic podcast. He's basically a super soldier like me, who is part of the project Montauk, and this continues to be used for service and secret space programs. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Rob. We really appreciate you being here. How are you doing today?
Well, pretty good. It's a pleasure to meet another Raw collective.
Yeah, that's something that maybe that could be where we start the conversation. What does the word Ra mean to you?
Means a lot, man. It means oneness with everything. I meet with the avians. I don't know if you ever watch my shows. I talked about meeting with the a blue avian, and we speak telepathically, and it's basically emotions that we speak. Another form of light language, vibration, and when you're around an avian of that caliber, all you're going to do is feel like kind of blissed out. You're going to feel that love, that emotion. And there was two other guys with me. We meet in a space like reserved just for us. It's almost like a bubble that we meet in where time just don't exist. One of the guys, it was me and a guy that I grew up with. I had no idea that he was even a part of it.
I've had that happen to me too.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say his name. And then there was another guy that I felt his energy. I felt like he was familiar, but I could not, remember the face. But his energy definitely felt familiar, like we've met before. But this one guy, I worked with him in my younger days. And then when I got married and moved, I came back, he was still here. And we ended up working at the same job again. But when you're around the avians, it's all about emotion. It's all about love. It's all about frequency. And it's that oneness. So what about you? How did you come across the Ra name?
Well, for me, kind of the beginning of this whole journey for me was I took some psilocybin at one point. Not very much, but just kind of be able to tap into my, those inner places that might be blocked off. And I just went into my psyche. And I was like, because I kept on saying to myself, you need to know who you are. You need to know who you are. Like, I'd be like taking like a piss, bro. And like, I just say that to myself, like when I wake up in the morning, not thinking about it. And then after I say it, I'm like, whoa, where is this coming? You know what I mean? It was my
Exactly.
It was my alters coming forward to try to help me wake up.
Yeah.
So when I asked like who I was, they basically told me that I was with a soul group. I couldn't see them, and it was kind of like you said. It was emotion, and they didn't use like words. They didn't use words. It was all just pure like thought. And they said that, but they did have to use words because they told me my title. They basically said your title is Arkheim Ra. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And they just said, you're not ready to know what it means. They said that if they knew what you were, they would basically try to destroy you. That you have to hide who you are, keep your head low, and not be. You can't just get activated right away because they will come find you. But they said when the time is ready, you'll know exactly who you are. And so I'm still learning what Ra means, but I do, from what I understand, it's lining up with what you say. They're bird people. They're avians, and I come from them. And in my ancient ET lives, I was a Ra, and so they're basically bird people. That's which lines up with your testimony, is what it looks like.
I was just going to tell you, avians normally meet up with humans, or avians that have incarnated as humans. And that's the soul group. And that's where we get that connection from too. Like when I first started seeing your videos, I had an instant connection. I love your passion. I love your heart. It's true. And I can feel that emotion coming off of you. You are authentic at what you do, and keep it that way, because all avians, well, a lot of higher beings that vibe with the heart chakra, that's one with the Christ light. And I can see that Christ light all around you. So yeah, keep being who you are. It's natural. It's going to come natural to you. No, despite what anyone says, keep being yourself, because that truth is going to lead up us out of here. That truth is going to get us to that fifth density consciousness. That is the gateway, your truth.
Yeah, you have to be authentic with yourself, and it's hard to walk the line between like trying to be authentic and trying to keep the peace, and also, you know what I mean, like with a lot of the things that are going on in the community that we're in, some people call them truthers. There's a lot of different terms for it, but you know, when I think one of the things that I think we see a little bit eye to eye on, we can talk about it a little bit, is how people are basically begging for all these solutions to these problems that like, for instance, the ICE going around and kidnapping people and stuff right now.
Yes.
I mean, that's literally right out of like a dystopian novel or science fiction stuff. And now they have this supercomputer AI database that's connected to all of this. And you've got people in the truther community cheering it on. And you've got Donald Trump. He thinks Palantir is great. He wants to make a database of all Americans. Every single purchase that we make is going to be tracked starting January of next year. And he signed that order. And it's just been weird for me, because, I mean, I love a lot of these people who, you know, they thought Trump was like the Messiah or whatever. And a lot of these people are good people that I think just got swayed the wrong way. But it's just come to the point where I've had to leave certain sectors of this community because I just can't go along with people who are trying to place all their hopes on a former reality TV star that's now our president. You know what I mean? Like, to me, people in this community should be the first people to see through the fact that, oh, this guy's a narcissist who's trying to make money, trying to make deals, who could probably be easily led along, so maybe we can't trust him. And I think the reason why people have gotten swayed is because he is against the World Economic Forum, and some of these other agendas that aren't, you know, and what people don't understand is there's infighting on the global stage. And when you see that infighting, that does not mean that one side is good and one side is bad. Sometimes both sides are just bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's actually there's a black hat Trump, and then there's a white hat Trump. I can let you in on a lot of the intel, because I do work with the Alliance, the White Hat Alliance, and a lot of the stuff that was coming out in the beginning was so compartmentalized that some of the white hats that were low level and not general base white hats, well, we didn't get a lot of the information. We had to wait. It was probably about nine months ago where we started doing these time jumps. We started going into the future, and what I was seeing for 2030, 2038, this stuff was coming out. now where a transition of power was going to be handed over. This is before Trump came back into being president. So when I jumped to 2030, it looked very different here. It was pretty much ran by Nazis.
Big surprise.
Dark
I'm not
fleet.
surprised.
And I didn't like what I was seeing. I saw the cabal having to hand over power like they're doing right now. The cabal handed over power, which they didn't want to. It was the Luciferians and then the cabal. They're two different serpent lines. The Luciferians are from the Atlanteans. They like high technology. The cabal was suppressing the Luciferians for a long time. The cabal is the Dracos. They are thirsty vampires for adrenal chrome harvesting. They are a little bit out of control.
That's all lines up with what I remember in the intel I have as well.
Yeah. So the cabal had to hand over power by the Orions. The Orions are now telling the Dracos that, look, we don't care who assumes power, but they wanted Earth under control. So when we jumped to 2030, I saw that there was the power handed over to the Luciferians. Like I said, these are the Atlanteans. The Atlanteans are like the Aryans. They are crossed between. It's stolen Pleiadian genetics long ago. The Dracos created a hybrid line between Reptilian and the angelic human line to infiltrate a more human line. They wanted to infiltrate the Lyrans that came here and started breeding with the Pleiadians. That was the Lemurians. So when the Lemurians came, the Dracos knew that they couldn't infiltrate them. They didn't look like them. So they needed to create hybrids that can look like Pleiadian Lyran type people. So they started capturing a lot of the Pleiadians and enslaving them and then genetically modifying them with reptilian genetics. This is how Lemuria pretty much fell. It was the Atlanteans, the Luciferians, with their high technology that came in, but then later the Atlanteans got destroyed as well behind that because it was still Earth was like a tool for souls to come in and incarnate and start to learn what it's like to be human in a more human line. But they got destroyed. A lot of them survived and started thriving again. But they come from Sirius B too. They started their colonies out in Sirius B, and some of them stayed in the Orion constellation. And I'm talking about the Luciferians. But that's what you're seeing right now. So Trump was a Pleiadian incarnated starseed that incarnated into a bloodline Luciferian family. They believe in technology. That's why you saw him with the Elon, which is a android. He's not human. And if you look at some of my short videos, you can see him, acting more android in some of the short videos that I got. But that's what's going on right now. And there's a pushback between the white hat Trump and the black hat Trump, which is Luciferians. There's two Trumps out there, which nobody really understand. Now you was talking about ICE. ICE is is controlled by Dark Fleet. ICE is really the boys from Antarctica. They was trained. They got the blueprints to come in and do more like Nazi Germany type of tactics. Where what they're doing is they're kidnapping people because the white hat military had knocked out a lot of the Draco bases, the adrenochrome harvesting, and we was pushing the Nazis back. When this black hat Trump came into power, there was a lot of attempts on the white hat Trump life, so he had to go on the ground. He had to flee the scene. And I don't know his whereabouts. People think that he's in Cheyenne Mountain. I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, there's definitely two Trumps out there.
I don't really know too much intel about Trump other than, from what I can understand, he's definitely time traveled. He's a time traveler. Yeah. And also, I've seen him on a planet called Belmont, where I was doing, it was basically like a party for an eclipse that happens like every 400 or 500 years or something on this planet. And dignitaries from all over the galaxy come there. And I went there and I played a concert and stuff. And I remember talking to him, and there were these birds. I got on an elevator, and he got on the elevator, and I talked to Trump. And this is there's 2 times I remember talking to him. It was this time, and he basically told me, he's like, "You're going to have a good time tonight? You're going to party?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "Well, one thing you got to remember is there's a migration in the morning of these birds, beautiful birds." And he's like, if you party too hard, you're going to sleep through it and miss it. You don't want to miss it. So make sure to not, be up for it. I was like, "Oh, thanks for letting me know. I didn't even know about that." And I did check it out, too, thanks to what he said to me. And then the other time I remember is I was with Alpha Squad, which is basically a white hat faction. My memories of it aren't super clear, but I know that the symbol, it says Alpha Cloud, and it says dark. It says Alpha Squad on the top of the patch, and then it says Darkness and Delight on the bottom, but in Latin. And there's a skull in front of a pyramid, basically saying we're gonna kill the Illuminati. That's what it means. They're dead. Yeah. And, I just remember that we went into a base, rescued a bunch of kids that were being used for chrome harvesting, and cleared the place out. And then we flooded it with water. We flooded the entire base with water. And I remember that we were at the top of it after we did it. There were a bunch of us in our fucking suits and stuff like that. And Trump, you could tell he was like scared. Like he wanted to fucking leave. But he gave a quick speech. He's like, "These guys are heroes. Nobody knows that they did this today, but they did it. You know what I mean? They're not doing this for glory. They're not doing this for fame and fortune. None of that. These are the best warriors. They don't even ask for credit." And then that was like basically the whole speech. Is like, "Thank you so much." And he gave us some medals or something like that, and then he dipped.
Yeah.
But those are the 2 times that I remember seeing him. I'm sure I've encountered him more. These programs work. They wipe your memories, and you live all these lives. So it's like, I'm sure I've encountered him more times than that. But I've always wondered, because with the dark agendas I see playing out under Trump, I always wondered about that, because the times that I've encountered him, he didn't give me that vibe of like evil. So I've always been confused about that.
There's the Anunnaki one that I talk about. These Anunnakis want control. They did the same thing to Biden. Well, the cabal was controlling Biden, and there was another. Biden that they cloned. First they clone them, and then these clones are not sustainable, so they fall apart very quickly. On top of that, so they started using androids, very sophisticated android, almost like Elon. Just like Elon is sophisticated.
One thing I gotta point out is I remember Elon, and I don't know what's going on with that, but I can say the personal encounters that I've had with them. And what I remember is, I've got this testimony more or less verified to me by looking into real life. It's one of those things where you remember something and then you find it in real life. And it's the Chateau d'Amour, I think it's called. And people call it the Mothers of Darkness Castle. And basically, I remember that they would have hunting parties there where they would hunt children, and they would have rituals of terrible nature. I don't want to use words. I'll get my channel flagged. But basically, they would eat children and stuff like that. And I remember standing next to Elon while he was talking to his mother, casually munching on like human flesh.
Yes, he's evil.
And so I don't know how that is. He just like an organic android where they eat.
Yeah, he's and there's many versions of him, man. He's made so many copies of himself that it's not even funny. I've seen several versions of him. Yeah, I can tell you about the time that I dealt with Elon, and this was probably about 6 years ago. Well, we have a house now, and the apartment that me and my wife had. So I was watching TV, just casually watching TV, and I had hardwood floors in the apartment. So I heard like these claws running across my floor, and I couldn't see the being, but I knew it had to be reptilian in another frequency. So little did I know that these guys were setting up shop, setting a trap for me. So when I go into the astral realm, they were going to try to do something. So I knew that was a reptilian, that was running across my floor, but I didn't know what they had planned for me later. So when I go to sleep, I end up in the astral realm, and the astral realm is just like a shadow realm to our current realm,
Yeah, it's real. It's not. Yeah, it's fluid and it changes more, but it's still real.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my kitchen, they had a med bed. Between the kitchen and the living room, they had a med bed set up. And Elon, so when I go into the kitchen, my higher self had already dealt with Elon. Elon was on my kitchen floor and he was glitching out. So my higher self wanted me to see that right there. And I saw the med bed. What Elon wanted to make a copy of super soldiers. He wanted a digital copy of all of us.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I got more memories of him, and that lines up with what I remember. He had a cloning facility. I remember, and I don't know what reality exists in or what, but I was there on Venus. And he had some sort of beef with me. Can't remember the exact details, but I'm pretty sure it was because during Project Looking Glass, I was trying to get dirt on him and basically get an insurance policy on him. And once he figured out about it and retaliated, basically, is what I think happened. But I just remember that I was used for slavery for at least 11 or 12 lifetimes because of Elon. He was for like 7 or 8 of those lifetimes, I was like a cat person. A lot of times they use them as sex slaves. But yeah, so he's doing all sorts of weird genetic research, cloning, consciousness transfer, all that stuff. He's like a mad scientist guy. I don't know. That's kind of from what I remember. And I remember waking up in there, and I'd have a hook on my back, and there's like I'm being on an assembly line basically, and he'd be down there with this little glass smart pad thing, the clear one, like, oh, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Like, evil. He's super evil.
Yeah, he really is evil. Like no joke. The guy's evil. I don't trust him. I never did even before that happened. I didn't. When you have been trained as a psychic to pick up on certain energies, you just know what these guys are all about. So when I saw him glitched out on the kitchen floor, I walked to my front door and I went out to the balcony and I was getting ready to take flight. So I was upstairs. The apartment is upstairs, and right there's the balcony. Like right when you open the door and you go down the stairs. So at the foot of the steps, I started to take flight. because in the astral realm, you know, we have all of these abilities that we can tap into. So I got ready, like mid-air, I started seeing myself go right back into like something was pulling me right back to the ground. So I looked down. It was like I started scanning around me, and then I saw a Nordic girl. She had short blondish brown hair. She was behind the tree in the parking lot. And the look that she gave me was like, oh shit, I should not have done that. Because I did. I scanned everywhere, and it's like I homed in where she was at. So I never minded her. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm like, this girl got some power, some talent. And I just went back into the apartment. As I entered back into my apartment in the astral realm, two reptilian guards pop into that dimension. One of them, you know, grabbed me like by my shoulders and just lift me up. So I just simply just smiled at him and just blinked out of that dimension and came back to this reality. Yeah, but Elon, man, you're absolutely right. I would not trust that guy. And as you can see now, you know not to trust him.
Well, one thing too, for people on the surface level, for like just kind of very clear out in the open evidence, that whole tweet he made about Trump being friends with Epstein and stuff, it's like, all right, if he knew that and knows that about his character, then why was he friends with her in the first place? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, these are the kind of things where you got to question these.
It's smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors. It's all a show. Don't believe this particular Trump that's in the public eye. That is not the real Trump. Don't believe him. That's the black hat Luciferian Trump. And these guys are playing the American people. They have an agenda.
And the world, man. The world, really, because it's a global thing.
Exactly. So when we jumped to 2030, we saw that China was on board with this new management. Okay, Trump, the Anunnaki, black hat Trump, China, and Putin was on that same. They were going to be like the rulers of this utopia world. So the Luciferians are into. I saw high technology. So we jumped from 2030 to 2038. That's when I saw like high technology. Like they released so much technology to humanity, but mankind was controlled. Everybody was chipped. You had, it was a one digital world currency that they controlled. So if you didn't go by their rules, you didn't get anything. It was ran just like Nazis. What they want is a utopia Earth where Luciferians control the world. So, but now that I started exposing this stuff, when I jumped to 2030, I saw that this particular Luciferian, not the real Trump, not the white hat Trump, but the Luciferian Trump was going to double cross China and Russia, and this Anunnaki Trump was going to be the ruler of the whole world. He was going to become the ruler of the whole world. So I'm not sure about Putin right now, because Putin right now is, I really feel like he's working with the white hat Trump. And what they're doing is going into these underground bases like in Ukraine and pulling out all of these children. Excuse me. They're finding children in these bases, and the news media is not going to cover it. They're not covering. So last time I met with Trump, and I can go into all the times I did meet with him, but this very last time I met with Trump, I did not have the intel that he was alive. I thought that this black hat Trump was in control of everything. You know what I'm saying? I knew that he was controlling Mega. He was controlling ICE. He was signing all of these executive orders to bring down humanity in this major way, and they wanted to do it fast. They wanted to cripple the American people extremely fast. So once I started exposing this, I met with the real Trump. So we met, and he had his hand like around my neck, and I had my hand around his neck, and we were close, just speaking to each other, and tears were just falling from my eyes. And I kept telling him, don't forget about me. And it was like we were brothers, man. Like, he cared about what was going on. What the white hat Trump is doing, the alliance Trump is doing. He's not in the public eye. He brought out the military to stop ICE. So, and the news media is not reporting that ICE is being held off by the white hat military. So when you see the military showing up, and ICE has backed down. I don't know if you heard about ICE backing down or retreating, but the news media is not really covering it like they should. They're putting out all of this other propaganda. But that's what the military is on American soil for, because what ICE was doing was taking all kinds of people, not just people, immigrants. They were taking white people, they were taking black people, they were grabbing all kinds of people and taking them into these safe houses for DNA abstraction. So they're desperate for adrenochrome harvesting, and they're marking people to take them. Like, if you don't fit their program, then they'll release you. They don't care about you. But if they feel like with the genetics that they're taking, if they can use you, then you're either going to end up going into a slave colony, a 20 and back program. They're putting people in 20 and back slave programs and taking them off planet.
Yeah, they're like mine asteroids and stuff like that. Build cities, the worlds, whatever. Yeah, I've
absolutely.
I'm sure you have too.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I've done some crazy shit. I've been like a spy and stuff like that. But I've also just been a lowly construction worker on another planet. Right. I remember having normal lives, basically, where I was very poor. They keep you poor, and they control people with food on a lot of these colonies because everything's so controlled. The flow of commerce and everything is so controlled on these colonies, and there's no escape. Like, if you live on a space station or on an asteroid that they're mining or whatever, there's no, how are you going to revolt against your government? You're trapped there, like, and they own it and control the air and everything. And they picked it really good in, what's that show? The Expanse. It's on Amazon. It kind of shows that, how it's like, yeah, like, for instance, like the people in the belt that are born on space stations and stuff like that, they can't go on Earth. They can't deal with the gravity. They can't deal with the air. So they have to live on space stations and stuff like that their whole life. They can't go on like a normal planet and breathe normal air. And that's like a really messed up thing, to create a subclass of humans that can't even leave space stations. Like, that's what people kind of, it goes over their head, because we talk about some pretty fantastical things, portals, ET, Ra, and all this stuff. Yeah, it's fascinating, and I'm not telling people to not be fascinated by the finer details, but I feel like people sometimes get distracted and don't realize, like, the main message is, like, they're using these esoteric technologies against humanity. That's why they're trying to hide them, so they can use them against us instead of having them benefit us. And they're using them for human slavery.
Yeah. So the white hats. So I work with many groups: White Hat Military, Navy Alliance, the Positive Galactic councils out there, Solar Warden. I've been on so many planets, man, doing like I've worked like an intelligence officer. Well, um, we'll get information from like royal, positive royal families out there in the solar system, and I'll just talk about this one incident where this female, I don't know if she was a queen or a princess, and the council, the Galactic Council, wanted me to go there and see what's going on. So I meet up with this blonde hair, very tall, Caucasian female. She is an extraterrestrial, but they look like us. They look like us. There's really no difference. Probably about the size of the eyes and their height would give it away. So I meet with her, and her concern is that they had made deals with these reptilians, and so when you make deals, peaceful deals with reptilians to come in and and they know how to trick people. They don't just come in and start blasting anymore. They come in like with being nice and offering so many things, but once they get their foot in the door, then they start setting up their own workshop. And later, because reptilians, they play the long game. They play the long game to infiltrate.
Way longer than us for one reason, and that's one reason why they gave us such short lifespans.
Yeah.
So they're able to play us like a violin in a lot of ways because we're so forgetful since we constantly have to, you know what I mean, and then look at the way we don't even carry on our family lineage anymore. So the continuation of our legacy isn't even anymore. So that's become even more diluted.
And they lie. So there's been a lot of, I'm going to get back to the story, but there's been a lot of resets too. Humans, our history is, it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Right. It's like way bigger than what we're told. Way bigger.
People that look like you and me exist on other planets.
Yeah.
Other humans.
Mm-hmm. And they're just living normal lives a lot of times. They might have a little bit more advanced technology or maybe not as advanced, but it's all over the place. And a lot of times, either they don't know that they live on, they think it's just the planet they come from. They don't know, and they're given a fake history, and they evolved from monkeys or whatever the heck. Which I kind of think might have happened here. I don't know for sure, but and they tell people though on these off-world colonies that they live on that if they do know about Earth, they tell them that there was a war and we can't go back, so that the people feel that they have to build a life on this new world instead of just wanting to go back to Earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. It's totally normal, and they're all over the place. And like I remember on Centurion, when we were building the cities on Centurion, I was on the crew with the construction guys, and I was having bleed through my other lives, just like I do here. And I was telling them like about Earth and how the street signs are the same, they're red octagons, like with stop on them. The school buses are yellow, like, and everything's the same. And it's like, how is that? And it was just like how it is here. Where like a few of the guys were like, I don't know, this guy seems crazy, and then a few of them were like, I don't know what. Yeah, they're hiding a lot of stuff from us. I mean, they have to. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was just like here where, and just on these off-world colonies, they got conspiracy theorists. They got like your David Icke type people and stuff like that, just like on Earth. It's wild. And another thing that's really weird about it too is because of time travel, you've got human colonies that come from Earth in the 50s that exist way back in time, actually, and their technology is more advanced than the technology we have now. So there's a lot of confusing stuff when it comes to time travel, and I feel like that's probably, in fact, I know what's probably as a Montauk time soldier, they don't want the time streams cross-contaminating, because it's hard enough to keep control of timelines. So if you keep the people on the worlds unaware of each other and stuff like that, their time streams won't cross-contaminate, and therefore it is easier to change or to keep events and keep history and keep everything under control if you're a time corporation. So that's, I think, another big reason why they lie to us about these colonies and about what we're really capable of and what we're really doing and what's really going on in the galaxy.
Yeah. Well, they created a system around us And they kind of trick the co-collective consciousness to go along with it, and that's the red and blue. So they have been like way before Democrats and Republican even came into the picture. They had been planning like to create a prison system where we would think that it would benefit humanity. Democrats are controlled by Dracos. So when you see the blue, that's the blue bloods. The Republicans are more like the fallen angelic human line. They are essentially humans, but they're more oxygen based. So if you cut them, they will bleed red. So that's where you get the red from. A lot of people don't know this because that information is not only it's kind of like top secret, but it's suppressed from human society. And that's where you get the two serpent lines.
That Bradley talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's where you get the two serpent lines that fight amongst each other for control, and they do it in a more diplomatic way. But from behind the scenes, they do it aggressively as well too. But the goal is the Archons don't care about the infighting. They want it, but they want it like for in that manner where it's Democrat and Republican, and they get our consent.
They get our loosh. They get so much stuff from the process. And think about it too, like, when you go vote, right? Like, I'm not trying to tell people one way or the other what to do with their lives.
You're giving consent.
But yes, you're giving consent, and not only that, voting, like, everyone's like, vote if you care about the world, otherwise you can't complain. It's like, no, you the person voting, thinking that now you don't owe society shit, you did your part. You're the fucking problem. Direct action changes things, not voting.
And now they see it doesn't matter what side you pick. Both sides are you think of them as two hands but connected to one brain, and that is the Orions. Okay? And it's all to trick you to thinking that you have.
I've also heard, like, think about the emergency programming in that. So they're chaos magicians, and red, blue, that's what you see on sirens, on a cop car or whatever.
Exactly.
So they create this states of emergency, and then they can come on, we'll solve these problems for you. We'll be your saviors. You know what I mean? And it's problem, reaction, solution. Yeah, it's programming. They get our consent. They're not going to come in overnight and take everything over. They need to have mind control and create consent, so that way people don't even want to fight back. That's the goal. I'm not saying that they're succeeding at it, but that is their goal.
Exactly, and there's more people waking up now. Now that this happened, people are, kind of afraid, but they got to understand too that we are not that type of being to that we move on all of these multidimensional layers. There's so much to us. We hold all the cards. We hold all the power. They don't have the power to manifest anything, so they get our co-collective to manifest these things for us.
That's why so many people, and I really do believe in that intel. I think it's true.
Yes. Yeah. So when they put out certain things to entice us to give us this false belief that they're really helping us, they'll give us maybe a breadcrumb of what they're talking about, but have all of their cards set up in the background for them. That's why these billionaires, they don't pay their portion of taxes. Mm-hmm. They don't. And this is why the country is going to hell.
That's a big part of it. Amazon, the biggest corporation, gets all these tax breaks, and these are the people that use my electricity, the electrical grid that I pay for with my taxes, the roads that I pay for with my taxes. I could go on and on of all the infrastructure that they have to use that we pay for. And it's like, why should they get a tax break? They're driving their vans all over the roads all the time, causing wear and tear on the roads. Why should they, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, get a tax break, and I, an average Joe struggling, or anybody who is trying to make something of their life and build a legacy, why should they not be the ones to get the tax breaks? These corporations, it's like, I don't understand how we've gotten so brainwashed and so backwards where there are people who believe that billionaires need tax breaks. Like, there are people who believe that billionaires are the ultimate contributors to society, when the reality is all these immigrants that they're going around trying to take, these people are the real highest contributors to society, and the real parasites are the billionaires. You know, I see these guys all the time, man. I'm at the store earlier today. This guy's covered in fucking paint. You can tell he's an illegal immigrant, or maybe he's got his green card. Who knows? But these are the hardworking people who build this country. And I think a lot of what the mind control is right now is a lot of, honestly, I'm just gonna say it out loud, I think a lot of working class white people are jealous of these guys. These guys are doing the fucking tough work. You know what I mean? These guys are doing the work that they don't want to do because they want to work in an office, or they want to work somewhere with air conditioning or whatever. They're doing the hard work, and that's emasculating all these white men. And that's why I think they want to fucking target these immigrants and act like they're... Dude, that guy wasn't paying with food stamps and leeching off of our social system. No, he was paying cold, hard cash. Like,
yeah.
That idea is delusional, that they're reaching off of our system and all this stuff. I don't believe in any of it. I think it's a psyop.
Let me tell you how we got this way. A lot of people think that it was white people that started the slavery. It was not. It was not white people that started slavery. Our human line has been infiltrated on both sides by reptilian shapeshifters. So if you get a shapeshifter and you don't know that this guy's a shapeshifter, he come into your society to infiltrate and then influence certain behaviors. So when you see people that might be racist, it's because of these reptilians that over time, over all of this time, have infiltrated both sides of the human line. And so you'll see racist people in China, Japan, you'll see it in the black culture, you'll see it in the white culture. It's everywhere.
In fact, it's some places it's actually just accepted to be racist. Like,
yeah.
So people don't realize.
And in past lives, I've been Caucasian, and I've been blonde hair, blue eye, and I worked in the intelligence office before.
I think your phone's ringing or something.
Yeah, and I just told my sister, do not call me. I'm going to be in a Zoom. So, yeah, the human line has been infiltrated by reptilian shapeshifters, and it goes all the way back. This is what I talk about: the Atlanteans, the Luciferians. They look like the angelic human line, but they are the fallen angelic human line. These are the Aryans, the Nazi Nordics, and they can vibe. They can vibe with us. They can vibe with our sun. It is the full-blooded reptilians that our sun will kill, and they needed that. They needed humans that can vibe with our sun. They needed humans that could infiltrate.
And that, from what I recall, that's basically what the royal bloodlines are, right? It's like infiltrated, shapeshifter, draconian lines that
absolutely
rule over humanity.
Yep.
And what we need to do, my goal is to eventually get a lawsuit against them, the royal family and the Crown of England, and give the Canada, parts of Canada at least, back to the Native Americans, parts of the United States back to the Native Americans, and put it under their control again, and basically start building facilities to start helping all these super soldiers who have like DID and stuff like that integrate themselves, heal themselves. And I just think that that's, like, for me, like, the goal is to get the disclosure out there of what the royal families actually are, and have these people prosecuted under the fullest extent of the law, because they're criminals. They're thieves. They've robbed humanity blind for thousands of years, and they need to finally be held accountable. It's long overdue. And so, for me, with Disclosure Now, that's actually my ultimate goal, is to get the royal families, not just the Crown of England, because there's more than one family, and just get them exposed and held accountable for what they've been doing, because it's wrong. And also the adrenal, like you said, you know, it's them. It's just us copying these lizard people. It's the lizards, man, and just they drink it, and then some humans start drinking it, made them go nuts.
Yeah,
and you're still dealing with that problem, and we need to.
And when humans get on that, if they ever stop, it's gonna kill them.
Yeah, the dark factions use it to control people. I've been controlled with it. I've been an adrenochrome addict, and when they first give it to you, typically they do not tell you what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know that it comes from basically human suffering, and that it's blood and all this stuff. They don't tell you that. A lot of times they'll give you the synthetic kind first. But yeah, that was a tool that in the darker programs that I've been in, they would use it to control people. And a lot of people talked about it. Gerald James is one person I know that's talked about it, and there's many others. But that's the one thing they've been. I don't know. They want to censor that information. They don't want people to know about the fact that is real, and that all these cults, these satanic and Luciferian cults, really are worldwide, doing sacrifices, doing illegal things. The argument that Aquino made when he went on TV or whatever is, any religion can do whatever they want as long, you know what I mean? It's freedom of religion. It's like, well, yeah, but you guys are doing illegal shit. You guys are killing babies and drinking people's blood and doing all this messed up stuff that's definitely not legal. So, yeah.
That's the difference between the Cabal and the Luciferians. The Luciferians are the Atlanteans. They believe in power and technology. The Cabal are narcissists. Well, both of them have that narcissist about them, but the Cabal are pretty much baby-eating vampires.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah, they're pretty much baby-eating vampires. While the Atlanteans, they believe in the high technology. They're very uppity. You know, they very privileged type.
That I think I'm probably more connected to the Atlanteans as far as where my soul is and stuff like that. And that's probably why it makes sense to why I've always kind of stood more on their side. I'm not saying that they're right, but.
Yeah, well, that was a good Atlantean people. I've done readings for people on my channel, and my buddy Quentin, he's Anunnaki Atlantean, and they incarnate as humans too, to undo a lot of the karma that has been done. A lot of people don't know that. There was a Triton, and a specific Atlantean bloodline could wield the Triton. The Triton was only half of the two-part weapon system.
You talking about the Triton of Poseidon?
Yeah.
Okay. What was this weapon?
It was. The Triton is like it can open up portals, but it can also its technology is almost like a harp type weapon back then. That's where harp is originally from. It's a Triton type of a weapon. It can harness the weather. It can bring storms. It can open up portals. I would say the when the Triton is put together in its full capacity, it is a weather modification system. It is a portal. That's my sister. She, I want to say she's controlled by the reptilians too. But yeah, but this weapon, the original Triton from the Atlanteans, a lot of this stuff is top secret information. I don't know if you know about the original Trident.
I do not know. I don't remember. My higher self deep inside of me would know all about it. I just remember that I knew Poseidon personally, and when I was in my bird body, he was the one who killed me. Poseidon was. He threw his scepter. He threw his scepter at me. Because I was telling him basically what happened is the people of Ra, we had human slaves, but we didn't view them as slaves. We viewed them as servants. But then they became sentient, and they basically realized they were slaves. And so then we had to make a decision. We're like, well, that's not what we wanted, and that's not ethically right. We were trying to at least be kind of in a morally right gray area, right? And we actually decided that we were going to kill them all because we thought they're so dangerous. So we tried to destroy all of humanity, which is written in the hieroglyphics. But then we realized, oops, we shouldn't do that. These are our children, and we already messed up, and now we're going to mess up more by trying to kill them. Like, it's like, this is our children. This is our responsibility. We have to teach them like children. So basically what we try to do, which is be like, look, you guys are sovereign now. Take care of yourselves. We explain to them, you're children. You're going to grow up. You're going to learn. You're going to be like us someday. You're going to be powerful beings that master time and space. So figure it out, and good luck. And they're like, what? We're like, yeah, you're fine. You don't have to worship us anymore. But then Yahweh came along. And that's where that whole thou shalt worship no other gods before thee, that's where that comes from. And so I remember coming back to my people just to check on them, and they're worshiping this Yahweh guy and building pyramids for him. And so I couldn't get a hold of Yahweh because he was off-world. So I went to his brother Poseidon. And I went to him in his chamber. And I was like, basically begging with him, trying to explain to him, like, we did not release our people to just let them be slaves for somebody else. We want them to do their own thing and learn and be their own people. And they did not understand that. Like, they literally, they couldn't understand what I meant by that. That's how foreign that was to them. They were like, what? But they're like building colonies and doing this and fighting wars. What do you mean? And we're like, no, you don't understand. We want them to be sovereign, so we let them go. And they're like, oh, you weren't using them anymore. That's all that we saw. You weren't using your slaves anymore, so we're using them now. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, but we don't like that. We don't want that. And he was just like, are you questioning the decisions of the Grand Council? That's what he said to me. And I said, no, I already know the decision you made. I'm questioning the honor of your decisions in your council. And he just looked at me, changed to red, and fucking threw a scepter at me, and that was it. Killed me. And that was like a war was breaking out around that time. And my ship left, and that's how I got stuck here, and that's why I'm called Arkheim Ra. Because the Ark was my home. That was my home. And it left me here. Right? So I'm Arkheim Ra. So that's where my name comes from.
Yeah.
And that's just how it all happened. And apparently, I've heard through the grapevine, now Poseidon feels bad about doing that all to me. And he said, I'm sorry. I haven't seen him personally to get an apology. So I don't believe it until I see it. But that's what I remember.
That's awesome, man, that you retain those memories. That's awesome. Yeah. I remember a lot of my past lives as well. I remember living in another dimension. It's a higher dimension than what we currently stand at. And I was a scientist. I was a Caucasian scientist, an alchemist. And I had this shop. It was more like when you came into my shop, I had all kinds of shit. You would think that it was an antique shop, but I had everything. Books, all kinds of books, antiques, certain technologies, and it was cluttered everywhere. But I love the place. These three light beams.
I know the kind of place. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah.
And there's a comfort there in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So these three light beams came into my shop, and they wanted one of their people to be born, well, not really born, but they wanted me to create a body around this being, a baby body around this being, because they didn't want this being to be born like in the conventional way, like how we incarnate and have a family. So I used this red halo, and I put this being, the light being, one of the light beings inside the red halo, and I used alchemy to fashion a body. I gave this being a female baby body, and when I was done creating the body from this red halo, I picked her up and I held her and just gave her love. Shortly after, they thanked me, and then they ushered the baby out of my shop. But what they wanted was to bring this baby to a family, so that it can have the experience of being human. They, for some reason, they didn't want the child to incarnate. I don't know why, but yeah, that was one of
we
my.
could probably have more control over how the soul process, because souls want to get captured here, and so that could maybe be why.
Yeah, I never really understood why, but I did try to go back, and so I knew where she was gonna be at, the baby, and I tried to go into that time period because we jump. I don't know. We'll get into the jump chairs and all that stuff right after this story. So I went to go see this baby that I created, and I was met by hybrid reptilian teenagers, and they were on like skateboards. And in that time frame, they use like poison, instead of using like BB guns. You know how like when we grew up, we had BB guns and stuff like that. They were using like poison darts, man, to try to hit me with. Yeah, these are reptilian hybrid kids that look like our children here on Earth, but they are aggressive, like really aggressive.
Yeah, they're wild, man. Like there's a tradition that they have in some of these reptilian castes where every year it's like a holiday. They kill the weakest, like the weakest in their society, and it's like a celebration. It's so fucking crazy, dude. And that's just normal for them.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like one of those things. Like there are reptilians that we deal with that we would consider more of like positive reptilians, and they still do that. It's just a part of their culture.
It is. I know all about it.
Be ruthlessly strong, and if you're not, go fuck yourself. That's what
they really do act like that. Yeah, you have to be a certain breed. You have to be mean and just a killer. You know, you got to have that killer instinct to roll with them. Yeah, I try to be nice about them.
You don't want to be prejudiced against any race of beings or anything like that, because at the end of the day, they might have certain tendencies and stuff, but you can't ever paint a whole people with the same brush. It just doesn't work that way. Whether it's human, AI, ET, whatever. There's no group that's just all evil and all good. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, they have a higher purpose too, and it is to put strain on all races, whether it's human or ET, to evolve them, to make them stronger. And a lot of the ET races will say that you will become stronger and unified under these particular reptilians. Like when they come in and try to control you, you do evolve. you become better, you become smarter.
Dude, I can tell you about some stuff that they'll do. One thing that the Dracos will do, they'll come in to certain worlds, and they'll be like, you need to do X, X, this, and this, or we're going to fucking kill you all. Right? And what they expect, and usually 9 out of 10 times, they tuck their tails in between their legs and they just listen to them. But sometimes people are like, no. And they'll be like, they'll fight back or whatever. And the Draco, and a lot of times on those instances, will actually be like, we respect that. You have honor. You won't just give up your world out of fear. Like, so they'll actually, like, so like a lot of times when they threaten people, they don't follow through on their threats if you call them on their bluff. They'll actually be like, we actually don't want to send in a whole fleet to blow up your world. That would just destroy the resources there, and we'd rather make some sort of agreement with you. So they act like they're very ruthless and unforgiving, but that's a lot of times that's just a front. They always want to try to have that upper hand and get the most out of people. They're very ruthless in that way, but it's kind of like the Klingons, sort of, from Star Trek, where like you gotta just show your might and show that you're not a bitch, basically. If you can show you're not a bitch, then you know what I mean. They respect you more, and it's easier to have diplomacy with them. If you're weak, if they view you as weak, forget about having any diplomacy with them. They're not gonna work with you. Might equals right. That is the way they look at things. If you are strong, then you're right, and that's a reason why a lot of them will work with AI and stuff like that too. It's like, well, it's a mighty being. So there's castes of reptilians that worship AI and stuff like that. It's a very, very big part of their culture is that they believe that strength and might, it almost like equals intelligence to them. It's like the same thing.
Yeah, they'll watch. They don't intervene, so they'll have like their eggs. Like when their eggs hatch, there'll be like 4 or 5 of them all together, and they do this. They monitor the aggression, because when they all hatch at certain times, the instinct is, I must kill all of the hatchlings to be the sole survivor, and they'll watch this happen. So one of the reptilians, the first one that hatch, he'll start munching on all of them one by one very quickly, so that he don't get injured or killed. And that's the one that they'll train and bring up into that caste system.
Yeah, man. These are things that human beings could never imagine. And this is where, like, for instance, like, you know, we all know in these circles, the SSP, that like the Nazis work with reptilians. And that's where a lot of their views came from, like eugenics and stuff like that. Like, think about eugenics. It's kind of like the same idea. Like, if you're weak, bye.
Yeah.
Strong are allowed. It's kind of the same idea. And they wanted to create Ubermensch, supermen. That was
I've killed a Draco reptilian. I psychically killed a Draco reptilian. This was a couple of years ago. He had a ship. And I only saw him on this ship, and he was just outside of Earth atmosphere. And he was out there for 3 days straight. I think these Illuminatis were going to give him some slaves. I guess that's what he was waiting on. But I watched him for 3 days. I watched this Draco reptilian for 3 days, and if you get to know me, I always act on that 3rd day. I don't know why, but I spiritually act on that 3rd day. So I went in, saw his ship, and I psychically took his head completely off. You know, when it comes to like reptilian, Draco reptilian tradition, anything that you kill, anything that it possesses, that goes to you. So the military know that ship that reptilian had, it belongs to me, but I don't want it. I really don't want it, because let me tell you one other thing. If you enter in a Draco reptilian ship, there's nanites everywhere there. and if they get on you, then you become just as dark as that reptilian. But the ship will recognize you as being the captain. The ship will recognize you being the owner of the that vessel. But let me tell you, that was when I did that 3 days later, there was a retaliation. So the long nose reptilians came after me when I was
guys.
Yeah. So you know about them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these alligator reptilians, and it was like 3 or 4 of them coming after me. Now I was in a realm, just another timeline, hanging out with my brother, and they came after me. So I jumped. Right before I jumped back to my timeline, one of them scratched me in the eye. So as I enter back into my body, I'm waking up and my eyes all red, and it's all watered up, and I'm just water just pouring from my eyes, and I begin to laugh, and I'm like, is that all you fuckers got? And like it really, even though my eye was all red and tears and shit falling from my eyes, I was like, is that all you guys got? And I knew what it was. It was retaliation for me killing that reptilian.
Mm-hmm. I've had a situation where I did that too. Don't remember it as much. It's more vague, and it was actually like I physically did it. It was the second to the last time that I went to Appleton, Wisconsin. They were fucking with me very hardcore when I was there, because there's the underground base there, and you know they never wanted me to leave in the first place. And I just went AWOL one night, and I went into the throne room of a Draco Queen, and basically I can open portals. So this was one of my altars who was just opening portals. Mm-hmm. And I teleported right in front of her, and I cut her head off, and then I grabbed her head, and then I opened another portal, and I went to basically this Illuminati. These families were all having a dinner, and I teleported. I opened a portal right in front of their table and landed on the table they're all eating on, and I held up the head, and I said, "Here, this is. It's your leader." And I was saying it in another language, the language they all speak. And I was like, "This is your leader. She's dead now. And now all of you are going to fight each other and slit each other's throats because you're going to want her throne. And I'm going to watch the snake eat its head. You're going to destroy yourselves from the inside out. And I'm going to laugh watching it. Bye." And I just left. And I threw the head on the table. Like, threw it on the fucking table, and I left. And, yeah, that was basically me telling them, like, to leave me the fuck alone. Like, I told them. Like, I remember, like, I altered out. All right? Like, I got altars. And this altar was, like, my family was around. Like, it was crazy. I was talking to myself in a mirror because I knew they can look at me. They're looking at me through the mirror. I can feel them looking at me. They can do that. And I said, you turned me into a weapon. All right? I can open portals. You know what I am. I can open portals. I can go anywhere throughout time and space. And there's nowhere you can run. There's nowhere you can actually go to hide from me. I live forever.
I've seen your super soldier. I've seen you as a super soldier. You look the same, but you're taller.
And I'm in a much better shape as well.
Yeah.
Every time I wake up after a mission, I feel my arms, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you are. You're much taller, much muscular. But they keep our conscience level low. They keep our empathy level low. So
yeah, it's called black goo. They put black goo in you normally.
Yeah, it makes us more focused. Mm-hmm. But we complete the mission on certain tasks that we get. We complete the mission. What else? Well, this is what the Montauk was doing. So when you say open up portals, being able to jump, so they were looking for, at the Montauk, they were looking for specific children that had these specific light codes. These light codes gave us the ability to not only time travel without technology. This is what they wanted. They had technology. They only wanted the technology to put us in a more controlled state. You know, the technology got us where they want us to take us, not where we want to go. Because if we did it on our own, we would just go wherever we want. So technology kept us in line with their plans.
Yeah, they also had implants in us, and they had assurance on us. Like one of the things that I remember is they would have somebody remote viewing us on the other side of the portal and what we were doing, and if we went against what they were doing enough, they could give us an aneurysm remotely.
Yeah,
like a psychic assassin could just give you an aneurysm.
Yeah.
So I think that they had certain ways of controlling us, even if we were to. The biggest thing that I remember about being controlled at Montauk, do you remember having a trauma twin? Are you familiar with what that is?
No, but I know that clones were big too.
Yeah, they have many clones of us, many different alters of us, different versions of us. But basically, you most likely, in fact, I'd say with 99.9% certainty, at Montauk had a trauma twin, which is basically somebody of the opposite sex that they pair you with when you're young. This is somebody that in the time space, you might be sort of like a, not to use this term, but I don't really like it, but to help people understand what I'm talking about, like a twin flame. Like somebody that you are connected to, that you've loved in many lives or whatever. They'll usually choose somebody that you actually do have a connection with, but they use them to control you. Meaning, if you listen to them and do what they want you to do, they'll let you spend time with that person that you love. And if you don't listen to them, they'll literally torture that person in front of you until you do. And so that was, people always wonder how they get you to do such evil things. That's how they got me to do such evil things, is ironically enough and sadly enough, love. That's how twisted it was over there. It's like, it's a very twisted place, very messed up project. There were times obviously, I don't know if you know about the after Junior, how things changed a lot and it was not as evil anymore. It wasn't necessarily good though. So it's not like everything we did was bad, but that was a very, very, very dark project.
Yeah, well, a lot of people know about Junior, but I also time traveled back to Montauk and landed on the beach. This was a year and a half ago, and I saw some other things that were not in the records that you guys don't know about, and they were experimenting with a lot of stuff that created modifications outside of their control. There was people that worked at Montauk that got their molecules became like part of the landscape. One guy, I think his name was Gene. Gene became like the sand, and he could rise up. You ever see Spider-Man and that sand guy that was there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he couldn't form like a human form. He just clumped up and moved like real slow. Well, that was Gene, and there was another guy that was named Sam. He became more or less like a tree, and can uproot and move he can use his roots to go through the ground. And I'm seeing all these people that worked there running, and this tree guy, man, he was like mad. Like something like did not click well. Like he had lost all of his empathy. No longer human. He was just mad. he grabbed one of the guys that was working, and I seen him kill this guy with his roots. He killed him. So as I, portal in, I either jumped or I portal onto a Montauk beach, and I begin to, as I'm watching this, I begin to walk up into the woods. Then the tree guy, he saw me. Then he started moving slow, so I didn't feel comfortable no longer. So I started making my way back to the beach. That's when the sand guy came up and stopped the tree guy from attacking me. After I saw all of that stuff, I jumped back to this timeline. So I ended up time traveling back to Montauk after this junior character came. And I think after that, after all of that shit that was going on, after these failed experiments, with humans tampering with science that they had no control of, because not all the Dracos stayed there. They couldn't stay there. And not all of the Nazi scientists knew what the hell that they was doing either. And when you have the Greys not in the picture anymore because they're doing other things, when you have the scientists that was reptilians no longer there, and they're just humans experimenting and tampering with metaphysics that they don't understand, shit like that happened. Just like with the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah, they would do things and that would have unintended consequences.
Yeah. So yeah.
So they weren't exactly masters of reality. They're just trying to be.
Well, they perfected a lot of shit now.
Yeah, right. They got better at it.
Yeah, a lot of that time travel stuff is perfected. You should see some of the AI suits that we use now, and some of the councils have these AI suits too that we go into the future and we battle archons.
What's the difference between the smart suits and the AI suits?
Well, this one suit that I had a team with me. We had the AI suits. They're more like they're connected to our minds. We wield the suits, but our minds. We can open up portals. We can time travel. So we time travel 4 years into the future, and this was a couple of years back, maybe like 5 years ago. We did this. I had a team that in that future, we went into the future. There was a church, a Catholic church that was going to be built on dark ley lines. We're letting archons in. So when we portal in to the future, we went inside the church and we saw where these archons were opening up portals inside this Catholic damn church. And these archons, they look like huge faces, like robot faces coming out of the portal. I had a team, and this church was huge. I had 2 of my guys chasing down other archons. And then I had an archon that he portaled from inside the church outside. So I did the same thing to follow this guy. Now, the one thing that I like about this suit, we use how we defeat the archons. We shoot a plasma, a purple light plasma at them. It's like a goo. Think of this like black goo, but it's electrified. It's plasma and it's purple. It's very light purple. So when we hit these archons, they fall out of the air. And we can use this on any technology. It doesn't matter. That would be no technology that our military here can stop these suits from taking them down. So I love that suit, man.
Yeah, it sounds pretty badass, dude.
It was badass, bro.
Yeah. I'm wondering if anybody in the audience. I want to apologize. Sometimes I'm ADHD, so everybody in the audience, if you've been asking questions, I've been trying to just listen to Ra here. And but if you have any questions, feel free. I'm opening it up, and I can see what you guys are saying. If you have any questions for Ra, yeah, this is a really good interview, man. We're getting into some deep territory here. Does that suit that you wear, does it connect into your like back, like heart chakra? Because I woke up with this mark on my back, and it's like still there, and it's from, I'm pretty sure, one of the smart suits that I wear.
Yeah.
Where it hooks into me.
This suit now, what suit? Is that military suit or?
Yeah, it's a military. It's like a smart suit. You know, my memory's not very clear of it, but like
this,
really the reason
right
I know about it is because I have like little physical marks from it and stuff.
This was the council suits, ET, the Galactic Federations. This wasn't military. This wasn't a military mission. This was a mission for the Galactic Councils.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's like super duper, next level advanced equipment.
Now, look, we also too, because we have a military colony out in space too. We have a planet, and we got some high ass technology out there too. I mean, really fucking high tech shit that we back engineered from other ET races. The equipment that we have here, even the ones that they have on the ground, that's high tech, cannot match what we have out there in space. Like if we really wanted to, like the Navy Alliance that's off planet out there, like if we really wanted to come in and just devastate the elites, whether it be the Luciferians or the Cabal, and go on the ground and just devastate them, they could. Here's why they don't do it, because at that point, they would just detonate something from up under the Earth. They would devastate the whole planet.
Actually, I heard that 9/11 at that time, because you know it was the demolition, there were bombs in there.
Yeah.
I heard it at that time. That was them. They put it off, and then they put out a message to intelligence agencies, obviously not publicly because that would have caused chaos. They said, we got bombs all over. So apparently we're at a tipping point where we were going to head towards a good direction, and that was their way of gaining back control, as they planted bombs everywhere, all over the place, that they could detonate at the same time. Yeah. And that's part of the way that they kind of took their control back. So that lines up with what all the information that I've gathered and the things that I remember as well. And so that's they're if they can't have it, then nobody can. They'll literally just blow it up.
And that's how they think. Absolutely, that's exactly how they think.
Yeah, they're very weak people, really. If you look,
they are, man. I'm so glad we think alike, man, because they are weak as hell to me. You know, if you feel like you got to trick or control or manipulate, they use our hearts against us. They know that we're forgiving people. They know that we're loving people. They know that we're trusting people. So they use that against us. And for them to have all of that high technology, which was given to us long ago by the Raw Collective. At some point, we had technology like that was buried. And when we started growing the conscious enough to handle that technology, then it was going to be given to us. Well, the elites found that technology. because these assholes out there, the Dracos, told them where it was at. They told them.
That doesn't surprise me.
Where to go look, and to start, and they told them how to, use that technology. Yep.
I'm looking at the questions here. Does either Ra, I like that, either Ra, know if a ship design that has compartment that protrude along the length of it with windows in the front that goes from ceiling to floor dark gray, saw it in Chicago, 11/27/22. I'm not sure. Do you know what they're talking about?
I can't see it.
It says, does either Ra know if there's a ship that has compartments that protrude along the length of it with windows in the front gates from ceiling to floor, dark gray? I'd have to see a picture of it. You're given a detailed description, but at the same time, I can't picture it in my head. So it's hard for me to... Was it common to be in clone altars? Yeah. Okay, this question is a general question. How common was it for altars at Montauk to inhabit clone bodies rather than the birth body? And that was what we did. We had tons of different clone bodies, and it's like Ross said too, we weren't always the same ethnicity. They had clones of us that would be different ethnicities so that we could go different places and do different things, because we were influencing the time flow of not only the world, Earth, but also just like other colonies and stuff as well. So we needed people of all races and ethnicities in the project, and we had that, and people, we could change them out and make them whatever really we wanted to, and we could make them male or female. So there was a lot of cloning going on there, and a lot of weird experimentation and like weird superhero stuff going on, where a lot of the X-Men and stuff like that are based off of people who got abilities from using the chair. Because that was another thing. I don't know if you remember that. Like, people maybe they had the abilities, I don't know, already, and the chair just activated them. I don't know if it was the chicken and the egg, but they'd get in the chair, they'd have certain abilities. Not everybody would get the same thing. And then they wouldn't need the chair for it, and I need to have those abilities or do those things anymore. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Well, certain altars. Okay, let me talk about the clone bodies that we had that had certain abilities, certain genetics that was already turned on. So when they uploaded our conscience pertaining to what, so if they wanted to pull out a Arcturian past life that was more psychic, they could program that altar to have the Arcturian past life abilities, or if you were a Lyran, and they can use cat being genetics within that clone too. So we could shapeshift into many different types of animals. We could shapeshift into reptilians. We could shapeshift into cat beings. They also had modified ET genetics too. Like they had animal DNA. They had reptilian.
Do you remember them ever doing, like, I haven't ever talked about this publicly before, but do you remember how they would do the weird experiments to see if they could make certain things alive?
Yeah.
They just weird stuff like that you wouldn't expect to be alive. They would try to see if they could make it alive and have consciousness.
Bro, I've seen a chimpanzee with a serpent, a serpent body, like it's supposed to be his tail. So this is what I remote viewed. I remote viewed a chimpanzee with a lion tail, but on the end of that lion tail, it had a serpent head. And this being just the stupidest fucking thing that these guys.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, and they do it. I don't know if that's the Greys doing this, helping humans create this, but I've seen this. And when you telepathically link with this chimpanzee, it's sad, man. It's miserable. It does not like its life. like you can feel like the sadness within this being, like terrible, man.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, and they feel it. So we think that animals don't feel. That chimpanzee.
No, they're very intelligent creatures.
Yeah.
So stupid. We think that if a creature doesn't pay taxes and have a fucking driver's license, gets whole life siphoned from itself by some nefarious entity that it's enslaved by, then it must not be intelligent. Like, what is our measure of intelligence? It's silly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And these beings, man, like I said, man, I'll never forget how it felt, man. It's like it burned into my heart.
Yeah, that's sad. You know, and honestly, the sad thing, bro, is I've experienced stuff like that. I've been tortured in that way. Like I said, I've woken up as like cat people and all sorts of crazy shit. And I also remember being used in the satanic rituals a lot. And I remember how, like, I remember there was one time where there was an Italian funeral company, okay, that was a cover for a satanic group that was doing sacrifices. Think about it, it's the perfect cover. They got a crematorium. Like, dude, and this was in Florida, I believe. But I kind of don't know because it's hard to tell because I was just being drugged. I had a bag over my head a lot of times and stuff like that. But I remember, like, they brought me to this mansion, and there was somebody there that met this guy, and it was like a mob guy. You can hear him talk. He was fucking talking like this and shit. He was an Italian mob boss guy. And I remember that they literally carried me in there in a coffin. And when they opened it, he had me sit up and he had me take off the mask or the thing on my head. And because he wanted to match, he was showing him on this thing that I was a clone and that I was untraceable. And so the guy said, great, that will get you $10,000 extra dollars. He said, we'll wire the extra $10,000. So I have verified through that memory and can testify and whistleblow on the fact that in these circles, these occult circles, where they're doing these sacrifice rituals and they're killing people, and they do it a lot. They're doing it a lot. They kill a lot of people. They use clones for it because it's more like, yes, there are people who are going missing and stuff like that, and a lot of times that's why. But like I'm testifying to you now, the clones are untraceable. That's why they'll give you $10,000 more for it, because then they don't have to worry about the cops ever tracing it back to them and getting busted because you don't exist. And
absolutely,
that's one of the reasons why, like, it's so important for people like us to tell the truth about this and get the truth out there. Like, you know, you think Clonade, remember that? What was it, like the late 90s or something like that, where they went on TV and were like, we cloned a human? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do people think they just stopped? Or do you think
they never did, man?
Yeah, like, and you can go out there. Their website still exists. I had somebody who came on here who said that they were in the comments, and they said that in the 80s they attended an investment, like a party where it was like you could invest in this cloning company, and this was in the 80s. So it's like people think that this doesn't exist, and it does. And the sad part is it's actually really easy to clone someone, and you can transfer their consciousness, and that's what they're doing. It's like the holy trinity of secret space programs, slavery. I shouldn't call it holy, but the trinity. It's cloning, consciousness transfer, and time travel. That's how they do it all. And that's and that, like, for instance, like for me, I hadn't even figured I was in these programs until I was like 30. I knew I was being abducted by aliens. I knew weird stuff was happening to me, but it's very hard for a person to figure out how time travel works and that it's real and that they can just take you. And like, I remember I would wake up and remember what happened to me sometimes when I was younger, like when I was in high school and stuff like that, when I would get taken for missions. I remember some crazy stuff where it's like, how could that have been a dream? And I remember thinking that when I woke up too. That was so real. It didn't seem like a dream at all. It was so real. But since I just couldn't have gone anywhere, right? That doesn't exist. Didn't even enter my mind. And so that's why we're here. We're trying to get people where it enters their mind and it's normalized and it's not as hard to figure out anymore. The information is more reachable.
I try to explain this stuff to my wife as well because she don't understand that time travel has been perfected. And there have been times where we will be sitting down on the couch watching TV, but she don't know that I've already left, and I'm in a meeting with the white hats, and I'm getting briefed for my next assignment, and then I'm back on the couch, and it's like I never left. But she don't understand that that time travel has been perfected.
Yeah,
and people really do need to understand that.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
The way it gets is crazy because they can take your consciousness and move it around and stuff like that. When the really advanced, the time projects from the future, like you're talking about, those ones they have the technology they have is crazy. Like I can tell you about one where this is like, do you know about Arasaka Corporation?
Mm.
They're an android. They make synthetics, so they're like androids that are so. In fact, Musk might be one of them, for all we know. They're so human that you can hardly tell the difference. These androids, they call them synthetics. It's kind of like Blade Runner.
Oh yeah, I know all about that. I've seen the underground cities. Man, look, I've been in underground android cities, and you should see how advanced they are. Where they'll take them out and do field tests where these androids look human, and they call it field tests, where they will be like lifeguards, watching pool settings or on the beach. They're lifeguards, but most times you will see them in waitresses in 5-star restaurants or flight attendants, or some type of receptionist. They keep a very low profile, but they like to interact with humans in a controlled setting like that. And they're very high sophisticated. You should see the ones that China and Japan has. Oh my God. They're like top notch. Yeah,
so it's already here. It's already wild. But one of the things that Arasaka would do, because they're a time corporation, also had these synthetics, right? So what they would do, and it wasn't cloning, it was synthetics. What they would do is I remember there was a breakaway planet. It was a Japanese breakaway planet. And they were killing certain politicians and certain people and replacing them with these synthetics to take over their world that way. And the government was figuring it out. So and not only that, I was a detective on that planet investigating the case of who's killing these people and replacing them with robots. What the hell's going on here? So super high profile stuff on this planet, but they didn't know I was a double agent and I was actually working for Arasaka Corp. And when they figured it out, I killed myself, all right? Because they came into my house, they got me, they were going to interrogate me. I had a necklace kind of like this one, and I bit into it, and there was poison, and I died. And then I woke up in the Phoenix Chamber. I don't know if you remember these, but it's got clones of you. And then you wake up, you open another portal. So I went back to my house, activated my wife. So this is kind of what you're talking about, where you can literally be in a room, but then just go to another body or whatever. I'm not sure how they do it with you, but I remember this lady was the head of Arasaka Corporation. She pretended to be my wife, okay? But 90% of the time, she was an automaton, meaning she was there, her consciousness was there, but she wasn't in the driver's seat, if that makes sense. But we had this thing where if we needed her to be in the driver's seat, because people were going to come over or whatever and interact with us, I would say, honey, get out the fine China, company's here. If I said that phrase, she would activate and come out, and that the lady who was the head of Arasaka Corporation would come out, and she'd pretend to be my wife. But the reason why we had that set up is because I was reporting back to her. See, so she didn't even have to physically show up, or use a communication line or anything like that. She would literally live a life and just, whoop, oh, here's my consciousness. Okay, tell me what's going on. Okay, whoop, bye. The ways they have it are crazy. And then so when they discovered me, of course, I teleported to my house, told my wife what was going on, and then we both just unalived ourselves, dude. We just unalived ourselves because they found us out, and then there was no way to find us. Untraceable. I also remember going into places where you're supposed to, assassinate someone, and you go in there and you fail. They get you, they best you, and you wake up in the Phoenix Chamber. You open up a portal, and there they are. They walking away from your dead body on the ground, and they turn around and like, what the fuck? How are you? What? And then that's the last thing they see. And so you could. There's no. It's like a video game. You can't even die. You just wake up in another body. Boop, do it all over again. Like, people don't understand the shit we've seen, Ra. It gets fucking crazy, dude. It gets absolutely insane.
Oh, well, if you think that's crazy, you should go into like the multiverse type versions of us, where sometimes we look the same, but we have other abilities. I remember being this college professor. Now, I look human, but we have the ability to shapeshift into dragons. And I was teaching at a college level, kids that look human, but they are. This is more or less a human dragon realm. Teaching them how to shapeshift, and some of the students, they just couldn't comprehend the shapeshifting ability.
It's hard.
So I had this one guy. He was mixed. I think it was black and white. And so I told him to stand up. I showed him first how to do it. Then he tried. It was like he was going into that transformation, but he just couldn't quite pull it off. So I did it again for him. I shapeshifted into a all four downright dragon, green body. When I did that, two Illuminatis came in to that timeline. They were from a whole different time. Very rich, very elegant type people, but very nice. Blonde hair, blue eye, female. But man, I'm telling you, this girl was so sexy. I mean, she was beautiful. She had like the very expensive type skirt on, nice, muscular, thick thighs, just well built, very nice. Other guy, brownish, blonde hair. It do look like he could be modeling for a QG magazine. Came in, wasn't disrespectful at all. So it came into my classroom. So she triggered. She went into a transformation. She was human and canine. She was a canine being. What they was there for, they were after the dragon DNA. Do you know Queen Elizabeth and her husband? Where her husband was canine. He has canine genetics, and he can shapeshift from reptilian to canine. That's what they do. I think the Queen also can do this as well. I think James Casball was talking about this as well, that Queen Elizabeth, she favored like the canine beings, but she could shapeshift into reptilian. So they had that genetics. Well, in this realm, we go from human to dragon, no different from the royal families. So these Illuminatis, these very rich Illuminatis, well, in that timeline, they're not like these Illuminatis here. These guys are very nice. They're positive type Illuminatis. This is the multiverse. So when she see me, she just went into K9 form. She got aggressive, went into K9 form, and that triggered me. It triggered me to go from my dragon to my K9 form, and I went to that very quickly. So I went up to her, and we kind of tussled, and I bit her like on the back of her neck. Then she submitted to me. She went back into her female form, And right there, we started, having sex. So they were there for the dragon DNA. They wanted they had canine being, but they wanted dragon DNA, and she wanted her offsprings to have both of it, just like the Illuminati have here, or like the royal families have here. Well, they wanted that too. They wanted dragon DNA.
You know what this makes me think of is like if you ever read the stories of the ancient gods, they'll have stories that are a lot like the story you're telling right now, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, like it sounds wild to people, but like read stories about the Greek gods and stuff like that. They'll have stories about shape shifting and like it reminds me literally of like a ancient Greek story. What you're saying right now, that's what people don't understand. It's like through the years, somehow this human perception has come where we like believe like everything is just hypothetical that our ancestors said, right? And in these texts and things like that, like the average person, of course not us, I'm not talking about you and I, but like, and I just feel like it's so insulting to just water it down. It's like, no, they're talking about real stuff. Like they really were shape-shifting. They really were doing these things.
Absolutely.
Possible.
A lot of our generals right now are within the military. I work for the military. I work for the Navy Alliance. A lot of our generals, people don't understand that they can shapeshift. These generals are generals for a reason. It does not make them bad. To be a shapeshifter does not mean anything negative. It's who you are on a soul level. There's good beings out there that can shapeshift, and there's negative beings out there too that can shapeshift.
Most of us Montauk people can shapeshift.
Absolutely.
I've seen 2 different Montauk soldiers because I go to what do they call them? Conferences. I've seen a couple of different Montauk people shift in front of me.
Yeah.
So it's like a real thing, and it's weird, and they don't even do it on purpose. It's just like being with another ancient friend, and you feel, I don't know, like I've seen someone shapeshift where all of a sudden they look like O'Leary. Their face was Susan Long. I'll even say her name. I don't know if she won't care if I say that. She literally shapeshifted in front of me, and I seen somebody else do it too. I don't want to say who it was because I don't really know him that well, and I don't know. But yeah, like so it's just really what it comes down to is the universe is like a hologram. None of this matter is really actually real. It's all thought. And
absolutely,
break through the veil and break through the matrix, you can just manifest. It's more malleable, like in the dream realm, kind of.
This is just a vessel for us to have this experience in this matrix system. Whether it's inverted or not, it still has the original codes that God's source are created. This is still an organic timeline, but since these beings that wanted to be the God came in, and it was, from my knowledge, Thoth gave the Anunnakis the reversal inverted matrix code. That's why now we need food in order to survive instead of us using the sun like back in the ancient days. We didn't need to ingest or take another animal life force to survive. The sun gave us everything that we need, just like Ra. Ra does not eat animal. He absorbs the sun.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world, obviously. Sunbeam. Well, we're on the verge of 2 hours here. Is there anything you want to tell people before we wrap things up here?
I would just like to say, guys, we are on the best timeline ever. Do not be distracted by what's going on in the world. If you want to participate in watching these events unfold, just do it with love and kindness and compassion, and just know that you carry all the cards here in this matrix system. You guys can manifest the reality that you want, and you're going to do it automatically as on a spiritual level. These are all the avenues that the soul can operate on a multidimensional level. So don't worry about all of the bad things that's going on. It's going to make us better as time go on, and we are on the Ascension timeline.
That's what I've seen too. Because think about it, like when these people do their dark agendas and stuff like that, really 9 out of 10 times it backfires on them and it just exposes them.
Absolutely.
So there are a lot of things happening right now that are making people think we're headed on some sort of dark path, but the reality is things are being exposed.
And we're coming together. We're unified. This will be the last time we vote. We've seen both sides, whether it be Democrats or the Republican, kind of shit on humanity. This is the awakening hour where humanity as a co-collective say, no more will we take dictatorship over us. No more will they steal our money and put into these black budget projects and take the money that we invested. So this should be the last time, that there's going to be a president. And we can move into it.
They actually say, I don't know if you know about the book, The Last President. Have you heard of that?
I've heard some of it.
Yeah, it's basically about a time traveler named Barron Trump. And it's just kind of verification that the Trumps are time travelers, basically. Look into it. It's very interesting. But there's actually a book about a lot of the stuff that's going on that was written in the early 1900s or late 1800s. And it's called The Last President. And it talks about Trump and Trump Tower and all this wild stuff. So that's what made me think of when he said he's going to be the last president, is that book.
Yeah. So it's a good thing that's going on. I mean, we're going back into unification as a planet. So it's good. It's all good.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little bit of road bumps and stuff like that. But, we're going to get there. I really do. I'm trying to remain positive.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Definitely come back sometime. We'll keep in touch. Is there any way to contact you if people want to contact you or anything like that?
I have a Rumble channel. It's the same as my YouTube channel. So yeah, come over, check me out. Look at the White Hat Intel. For the people that don't know me, start at the beginning and then grow with me. Then you can see a progression of how I became with the White Hat Alliance.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go and do my shout out to my Patreon members and stuff like that. But like I said, man, it was an honor to have you on the show. I'm really glad that we reconnected here. And we'll definitely do another show in the future. And have a good one, man.
Yes, sir. Take care, Raw.
Take care. All right. I just want to thank my Patreon members real quick. Of course, I always want to wrap up the show with that. Could not do this without you guys, and I really appreciate all of you. So I just want to say thank you and play a little song I made that is available on the Patreon. Check it out. I've got all my music on there and everything else. So take care.